Welcome to the Preferred Walk-On Show. I'm your host, Seth Saunders, and we have a very special guest today. He is not just the head coach of South Dakota State. He is a man who has lived every inch of the Jackrabbit journey. He's walked the same halls as the players he now leads, and he's proving that leadership isn't about ego or titles. It's about service, consistency, and belief. After years coaching across the country and forging his pedigree, he came back to Brookings to lead a South Dakota State program that is one of the standard bearers in FCS football. We're honored to have him on. South Dakota State head coach Dan Jackson. Welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the intro too. That's one of the best I've had. Usually I just ask for an opening statement and we roll. So I appreciate
man.
it.
Oh, we got to hype it up, man. It's a huge week. It's Dakota Marker week, one of the greatest rivalries in college football. How would you describe what this rivalry means to you, your players, your staff, and your entire community there in Brookings?
We truly believe that this is the best rivalry in the country, and having the fortune to be able to work at some different places and experience some different levels of football. I don't think that it really matters the level, FBS, FCS, Power 5, whatever. The things that make it special are the players that are involved. First and foremost, there's a lot of guys from the area on both teams that know each other, that have competed against one another, whether it was high school or growing up. And then, the coaching staffs, we don't take it for granted either. Not everywhere in the country gets opportunities to coach and play in games of this nature. And maybe the coolest thing about it is how it's evolved. We made the journey to Division I with North Dakota State years ago, and that's when the Dakota Marker was implemented, and they've always had a great program and a ton of history, and so it's been awesome to see us continue to build and grind and be gritty and work our way to being able to make this into a game. And then lastly, this year, I'm proud of our team for making it a big game. At the end of the day, the transition and the things we've been through as a program, this isn't as big of a game if we don't take care of business earlier and throughout the season. So I'm proud of our guys and where we're at and looking forward to Saturday.
Rivalry weeks can certainly be emotional. How do you keep your group focused on execution this week rather than the emotion that can sometimes pervade and take over?
We embrace these opportunities. I think it's no different than how we approach every week from a preparation standpoint. I think that's first and foremost in terms of practice and meetings and film study and those sort of things. I think you keep it consistent for them there, and you don't create tension and stress by adding a ton of things to their plate that you wouldn't on any other week. And so for us, one of our program mantras is 1-0, and there's a lot of things that go into that beyond the result of a game. But we also embrace these things. We played Montana State earlier in the season out there, and those are opportunities to fulfill a dream. When you were a kid, you dreamt in front of a sold-out stadium with people that care and love your program and feeling like you're in it. So it's channeling our emotions in the right way to help our execution and embracing the moment and playing free.
When you look at this Bison group on film this year, what stands out most to you, and what are some of the key challenges that they're going to present on Saturday night?
They've had great teams in the past. This team's not a ton different. They've got a lot of depth. They're strong at most positions, and I guess walking through it, but defensively, they've got some good experience there at key positions: linebacker, safety, secondary, which allows their communication to be strong. They're physical and big up front, and play a lot of guys there, and they're really confident in what they do, so they play fast. And so amongst the talent, the thing that wins football games is the execution. It is the speed in which you play, and they play fast. Offensively, clearly it starts with Cole Payton, and I've known Cole for a long, long time. We're from the same hometown, so I've always had a ton of respect for his game. Big, fast, strong. He's done a really good job throwing the football this year, and the guys up front, do a good job protecting him. No quarterback is great without players around him, though, and so for him to have two of the better receivers in the country and two phenomenal backs, and I mean their fullback is a tough guy. So I think I would say between offense, defense, special teams, it's that there isn't so much of a weakness there. You're going to have to execute and play well and go beat them.
You take over the program this year, a place that you played, a place that you have a ton of pride in. What was your mindset stepping in as the leader of the program and continuing the high standard that's been set there?
I've always wanted to be a head coach. And sometimes that's just where you leave your goal is I want to be a head coach. But I think the key to it is, where do you want to be a head coach? What do you want the program, the university, the community to look like? And for me, I've had opportunities in the past that didn't take. And this one just felt right for so many reasons that you talked about. But for me, when it's not about a paycheck and when it's about the people and it's about, I mean, it's from the guy that gets you coffee in the morning at the coffee shop that you see every day to all the Jackrabbit fans in the community, to see the South Dakota State logo everywhere in town and to be the biggest thing going in our state. Those things are really, really cool and it's fun to be a part of. And then we still can recruit, the right guys that love football, are competitive, and they're playing for the right reasons. And I knew that that's a place that I could thrive, and then to be able to do it with so many people that I love and care about. Getting up in the morning and coming to work is a lot easier when you're doing it for more than a paycheck and you're doing it for the people. And I love the people here. And then to be able to build a coaching staff fresh, I think that maybe had been stressful for a lot of people, but I'd rather have it. I wouldn't want it any other way. You can bring in the guys that you know and trust that love South Dakota State too, and bring in the guys that you want. And it was a lot of transition and it has not been remotely close to easy, but it's been worth it.
You had a journey to get back here. You coached at a lot of different places. What are some of the lessons that you took from your stops that have served you so well in this endeavor as head coach of the Jackrabbits?
Left here in 2019. Remember shaking our president's hand and thanking him for the opportunity. And it was to learn from him, but also, I learned from Coach Stig, who's a legendary coach for us. And so to learn from him and how he treated the players and how he ran the program was amazing. But then making the jump to Northern Illinois in 2020 to work for Thomas Hammock was an honor. He came from the NFL. He was a first time head coach. And so to see how he built the roster and held the players accountable and did more with less. He didn't have the best resources all the time. And then how he worked was amazing, how he managed the game. And then got an opportunity to go work for Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. And that I can't put into words the amount that you learn from Clark. Clark is really smart. He's really cerebral, but he's also really passionate in how he fought for Vanderbilt every day and every second when everybody doubted us and said that you couldn't build a football program there. He wasn't going to hear any of it. And he poured himself into it, and he showed up in the hardest times for the team. And from there, being able to go to Idaho with Jason X, somebody I knew and is a friend of mine, and help him again, all three of these guys in their first stint as being a head coach, I was able to be close with all of them, have a previous relationship to where they trusted me. And so it was a lot of fun to coordinate last year with Jason and turn that program around. And inevitably potentially had the option to go to New Mexico with him. But when this came open, Jason and I both knew that it was the right move. So I learned a lot from everybody I've been around.
Yeah, I love the Coach Lee aspect of your story. Number one, I think it's incredible what he's done at that program, being a Vanderbilt guy and taking a place that, to your point, people said, hey, you can't win here, you can't build here. And he's showing you can do anything if you're the right guy for the spot, right? And then also he's got history. He coached at South Dakota State, which I think is so cool. So I think there's just some awesome symmetry in how much success they're having, how much success y'all's program is having this year. I just thought that was a really cool piece of your story. Speaking on your team this year, what's something about your locker room culture, your roster that fans, don't get to see every day, but on Saturdays comes out and helps define your team's identity?
The brotherhood that we have in the culture that's been established here, but even created since January 2 with so many new faces is something it's a challenge to explain. But I would tell you this, our guys rise up in the most challenging of moments. They have each other's back. They support one another. They spend so much time together outside of the facility. They're always together. So the true brotherhood, which also even goes back and is established to our Jackrabbit Former Players Association, who does so much for the program. So the feel of South Dakota State is that it's a blue-collar, tough, gritty place that found a way to win with less. And now that we do have some resources, we're just going to continue that model and that same sort of work ethic, but be able to complement it with some things that allow you to be successful. And then this team specifically, the guys that rose up during the transition and they committed themselves to South Dakota State and our staff and our program, our quarterback, a couple of our offensive linemen, and it just went throughout the team. They got a chip on their shoulder. They're hungry to prove people wrong. Before the season, there's a lot of people that said we wouldn't make the playoffs or we'd win 4 games. And if they saw spring practice, they may have thought the same thing because we had about 60 guys that were giving it all they had, but that's what it was. So I'm proud of them for their resolve, their toughness, their ability to handle anything. They've been dealt a lot in this first 10 months with us and our staff, and I'm just so proud of how they handle every moment. And it's not a results base. We're undefeated and we're a great team, but it's about the process for them too.
Yeah, you talk about this year's team and talk about spring ball, and that's one of the things I'm interested in is because watching y'all's team this year, I mean, you guys are very physical, balanced on offense, stingy on defense, just an outstanding football team. What's been the biggest growth area for your team since spring ball, moving into fall, and then this season?
One of them is the depth, being able to create some depth. There was a lot of hungry guys here that were backups or rotational players a year ago that were waiting for their chance. So they were ready, and they got a chip on their shoulder, and they play like it. That's where the physicality and the edge comes from. And then when you added new pieces, I mean, we got a lot of guys that showed up in June, and we needed to get them close quick. I attribute our style of play to the gritty, tough guys that stayed and believed in it, that taught them the way. And then for us, schematically, we're gonna run the football, and we're gonna be committed to that, and we need to be better at it. Truthfully, we need to make some strides there. We're developing depth in the running back room right now, which is critical. And then our offensive line, the 605 Hogs, are a staple of South Dakota State, and they take pride in opening holes. And then defensively, we got pretty high standards here. I mean, if you looked at our goal board and the things that we're trying to attain on a week-to-week basis, most people would think it was crazy, but we're going to set the highest of bars. Expect that. So they love each other. They play really hard. They're really physical. They believe in the staff, and they don't want to let the state of South Dakota down. At the end of the day, to have a team that cares that much about the state is rare now, and it means a lot to them to represent the fans and the people that support them.
You talk about the fans, and I know it is a loyal and a passionate fan base there in Brookings. The atmosphere, the tailgates, the community. I think it's probably one of the better scenes in college football. What does that support mean to you, to the team, to the players as y'all prepare each week and fight for the emblem on the helmet?
The fans impact winning, more than they think. And so, but to see our fan base grow too, as we win, the fan bases become stronger and become more loyal. And there's more people at tailgating, and we've sold out every home game to this point. Saturday will be no different. I don't know many places can say that, but it's the consistency of our fan base that hung with us through the Division I transition, through the chipping away at being a playoff team to a top 8, to a semifinalist, to a national champion. So it's been an evolution of the last 20 years and beyond. The fan base means a ton to us. I mean, I go to a radio / kind of TV show on Monday nights, and there's 300 people there every Monday, just, for an hour show. The amount of support and it's not all financial either. I love the financial support, and that's critical, but the amount of people that just reach out and support and love on our players makes it really special. They get to know them as people. So they affect winning on Saturdays with their noise and their attendance, definitely.
I've asked coaches we've had on previously about this, so I'm interested in your answer as well. Go back to, if you could, go back to talk to Dan Jackson in his playing days. What is one piece of advice you'd give him, given all the wisdom that you have now, given your journey?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question. That's a great one that you ask people. I would say, I was asked about this earlier, about if I ever thought about coaching in these games or the Dakota Marker and those sort of like 20 years ago. Well, 20 years ago, I was, in college trying to figure out life, and I wasn't thinking about much. But I would say that the journey is the reward, is what I would tell them, and to embrace every single second that you have with your teammates and your coaches, and then to not take for granted the experience and the opportunity you've been given. And it's not about you. It's about others. Learned that throughout my career and just life journey. But yeah, I think young people need to constantly be reminded it's not about you, it's about others, and enjoy the journey. And the journey really ends up being the reward when you do it the right way.
We are firm believers that football teams are a constant growing entity, something that's always evolving. You're always trying to find your identity, always trying to find who you are, especially during the course of a season. Has there been a point, whether it was in August during practice, whether it was as the season began, where you went, wait a minute, we might have a shot here. Like, this group might have what it takes to get where we're trying to go. Was there a light bulb moment like that, or has it been an evolution of, hey, guys are just picking up the rope each day. Everybody's doing their job. Everybody's going in the same direction?
It's been a bit of both. I remember just some examples of moments. I mean, we talk about true belief in our program, and that's belief without needing anybody to prove something to you. So I asked our players to believe in me and our staff without any evidence, and I was going to prove it to them every day. But then we got to believe in our players as well. I don't know if if he hasn't played one down. I mean, we returned 3 starters from last year's season, and we needed to believe that everybody's an All-American. We're going to take that belief. But I do remember there was an off-season workout in the winter, where I remember our players were finally getting used to our new strength coach, who's amazing, Nate Morris, but that's a bigger transition than people think. And I remember the energy, and it was heavy squat day with chains on the bars, and the energy and the celebration. And I never saw a player walk by another player without some sort of acknowledgement, a fist bump, a pat on the back, a look, a chest bump. And that is unique. And, that's when I knew we had something going with the right direction from a relationship standpoint. In the summer, when we lost one of our players tragically, and it was a really hard time, I saw players step up and I saw players support one another through that moment. And I knew, and then in fall camp, we do an overtime challenge in fall camp, and it was a back and forth. I let the coaches, split the staffs up, split the teams up, and the energy that they finished that practice with. I remember walking off the field with our team chaplain saying, "We got ourselves a team."
Well, Coach, we are beyond excited to watch y'all tee it up on Saturday night. Please tell our listeners, and please, if you can, give a message to Jackrabbit fans everywhere. Tell them how they can support you this weekend and show up in the best possible way.
Definitely, I would say our Jackrabbit fans are going to be there, and they're going to be locked in, and get there early because it's going to be a packed house in the best sort of ways. Tune in to ESPN. I think the viewership for FCS football in a game like this should be a higher number than anywhere else. If people that tuned into our game versus Montana State this year, you weren't disappointed. Tune into this one and you won't be either. Just continue to support the Jacks, social media, support our players and our program. We need it. We need it. This has not been easy, and we're building it still, and we're evolving. So we just continue to need the support.
Coach, there's a great line from Remember the Titans where Julius says, "Attitude reflects leadership." And I can tell in this short time that I've spent with you that your program's attitude reflects your leaderships. They are in good hands with you, Coach. So we look forward to following y'all and continued success as y'all finish up this year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your hard work. It matters.